We're walking into the sun here, so it's hard to pick up on it, but everything this year very, very green. It makes such a difference in the way things feel out here, at least for me. The last 2 years when we pulled in out here, things were so brown, and depressing isn't the right word. Just, it looks just like if the foliage and the nature is having a hard time surviving, then, it's like, oh geez, doesn't really make a difference in how we survive. But seeing things green and lush is so much more pleasant. And there was actually green. There's a big cactus right there. Come on. There was green, tall grasses growing along the side of the road. Now it's been a couple of weeks we've been out here, no rain again, and those grasses have turned brown again. But look how green, green and shiny. These bushes were all totally brown last year. These even have little berries on them, blossoms, some kind. Everything this year just considerably better looking. And so the combination of all the green and seeing that the roads had all disappeared, I could tell that they had a good rainy season. Look how green that bush is. Last year, everything just so brown. These things really come alive when they get the rain. Can you smell the green? Hi everyone, hope y'all are doing great today. We're out for a morning walk around. This video is my famous annual conditions on the ground in Quartzsite. I've done this, I think this is the 3rd or 4th year, and I just share my observations on what it looks like compared to past years that we've come here. So some of you noticed it in the drone footage I showed. You said, boy, things look green. You can tell things are green here. I believe I mentioned it in when we were driving here, I talked about how I was noticing that things looked green. And sure enough, like when we pulled onto the road that we're camped off of, there was actual foot tall grass growing along the edges of the road. And that's not something that you normally see out here. Well, something we haven't seen in the last couple of years. It's been really dry out here the last couple of years. And all of these bushes, instead of being green like this, they were all brown. So there definitely was a lot of rain between the last time we were here, the end of last season, because things were really brown when we left here. And then when we show back up this year, everything is green. My friend Bob down there, he got here before us, like a week or week and a half before us. And he mentioned something that is funny to hear because it's happened to me before. When you come out here and there's been a lot of rain, all of the roads, all the paths out here are gone. They've all been washed away. And he mentioned how he had to, once he found his camp spot, he marked his roadway back to his campsite because, you pull in here, you go into town, you pull back into the area, and you lose track of which bushes are you supposed to cut in between because you can't find your way back to your camp. So right here, you see these little indicators here. So I'll get you an angle. So you can see that trail right there is marked. My friend Bob that's out there, I think he said there was one other camper out here when he pulled in. He got here before us. And because of the rain, all of the roads had disappeared from last year. So he had to mark the areas so that when he pulled in and out of here going to town, he could find his way back to his roadway to get back to his camp. And I know exactly what he's talking about. I've been out here before where there's no remaining tracks from the previous year because the rain washed everything away. So he actually got some, some orange tape kind of stuff and tied it to the bushes that he's supposed to ride through. Get away from there. Come on. God. There's a guy in his car that was camped over here and leaving things behind that I'm not happy to see. Good Lord. No wonder. There was a group that was camped over there, and they were over there giving that guy a load of crap, and now I know why. Because they were not happy with what they were seeing. Okay. Next topic. So, I mean, look, there's, there's actual things that are growing here. And, the last 2 years, there was absolutely none of this. There was no fresh growth. That only happens when there's rain. But when we pulled in here, there was, like, my friend Bob, and I think there was one other person that was camped way back up there in the trees. And so I had to find my way to our campsite. Same thing that Bob went through. And, I'm like, okay, I picked the 2 bushes, and I'm basically making my own road. And it's the road it's the same path that was there the last several years. I just had to remake it because all the tracks were gone. But it's interesting. That's a clue, because last year and the year before, when I remember pulling in here last year and all the roadways were still here. And I went, oh, geez, because I immediately knew that it hadn't rained. Hadn't even rained enough to wash tire tracks away. But this year, everything got washed away. And you can see all the marks from where all the water was flowing. And the small washes that are around here, the arroyos, you can see all the movement. And there was a lot of water moving through here. And I don't know if I mentioned it in our driving video, when we were on I-10, we came down Phoenix, 303 around Phoenix, and then got on I-10. And as we were on I-10 coming this direction, off the side of the road where there was some really huge size washes, you could see all the fresh cutting in the dirt, like where the washes take a turn, you could see the fresh cut. And these were, 20, 25 feet tall that had just been freshly cut by really heavy flow of water. And I heard somebody told me, I forget who it was, said that there had been some really heavy rains down in the Phoenix area just before we came this direction. I mean, there were still some puddles and such when we came through, but I can only imagine. I've always wanted to witness the big rains, the big washes flowing. We've had, was it 2 years? 2 years back at the end of the season when we got all that rain, and the small washes around our camp area were flowing really heavily, like they looked like little creeks flowing. And it can rain, and the washes don't start flowing until it can be quite a bit of time after the rains end, because it takes that long for it all to gather up and build power and make its way down and join up with other washes and others till it gets really deep and heavy flowing. But I've never witnessed that in person, Here, let's go this way, left. I'm having you guys look into the sun. I'm going to go back the other direction. We got here on, I looked it up on the calendar, we got here on November 15th, and it was hot. And we'd been running the air conditioner every day. Just recently, we had a couple days where it only got up to 85, which feels like, you know, such a relief. Now today and the next day, it's supposed to be back up to 90 again. But then it really, if you look at the 10-day forecast, then the temperatures really drop off. And there's some rain in the forecast, in the 10-day forecast. Doesn't mean we're going to get rain here. Just in the area, there's going to be rain. So we've been here since the 15th of October. That's the earliest we've ever been here. Yeah, it is the earliest we've ever been here. And it was hot, and it's continued to be hot. One of the advantages when there is a lot of rain like that, it softens up the ground for walking. It brings the dirt to the surface, so instead of it being just rocks everywhere, it can bring the dirt up and then kind of levels everything out. So it makes it easier for walking for the dogs. And the last 2 years been really rough because there hadn't been any of that rain doing that before we got here. So this year there's a lot more areas where I can walk Lefty without it bothering him, or without it bothering me. I don't know if it bothers him as much as it bothers me, but hey brother. Huh. What's up? You want to go get some dinner? You want to go get some dinners? I've been throwing some ground beef in with his breakfast. I cooked up, it was like a pound of ground beef I had. Fried it all up and then bagged it up and put it in the fridge. So I take a big handful of that and put it in with his breakfast with some hot water. He's been loving that. And we still have some of the chicken that his grandma froze up for him before we left. So once the ground beef is used up, we'll go back to his chicken. So he's a little spoiled right now. You can see this where all the water was flowing across this area. Looks like when you're at the beach and the sand gets all bermed around from the water. Oh, there is, I think you recognize that. That's one of my friends, Tony. He showed up a few days ago. I don't want to bother him. It's still quite early in the morning. Oh, I gotta pause video. If you've never been out in an area like this, things look so similar. It's really easy to get kind of discombobulated as to which way you're supposed to go. Even out here now, like in the dark, you can get really turned around out here because everything looks so similar and you can lose track of where you're headed. So from an aesthetic standpoint, I prefer to see green bushes when we get here. I honestly, I remember pulling in here the last 2 years and just going, oh geez, because it was so brown and so dry looking. And this year it looks so much better. And there's bushes growing that I haven't seen out here in a few years. It's amazing how some good rain out here, things just come back to life. Seeds that have been buried in the ground and things just pop back to life pretty fast. I mean, the wash out there, that's the big wash where all those trees are. It's really green, very lush looking. I guess about as lush as it gets out here, you know. It's all relative. Oh, buddy. Come here, let's go this way. Let's go get your dinners. Come on, let's go get your dinners. So better walking surfaces, better aesthetics this year. Greenery, who doesn't like looking at greenery? And little blossoms, little bushes blooming, bushes that are growing and then blooming. So a lot better compared to the last couple of years. So that's my annual conditions on the ground in Quartzsite. If you're heading out this way and you go to the same spot to camp every year, you're going to notice some changes around the wash areas because things did get moved around a bit from all the water. Enjoy your... Thanks for sharing. From Carol. Carol sent us... Thank you, Carol. These are Lefty's everyday supplements. I had these on the wish list. We go through these things pretty quickly. You know, there's 180 in a bag, but he gets 4 a day, so they don't last super long. That bag right there is almost empty, so those are right on time. Thank you so much. I've also got to thank Cindy, who sent us dental chews, some full moon soft chicken snacks, and a whole slew of Mountain House meals. So I'm living the dream right there. Those things are so delicious. If you've never had those, all you do is add water to them. Hot water, some of them, the granola ones, just room temperature water. They are delicious. Cindy, thank you. She actually sent us 2 bags of these and 2 bags of those, because I had nothing. I had a bag of some chicken jerky that was so hard I had to break it up into little teeny pieces for Lefty just so he could like swallow them down. They were so hard. So these were right on time. Cindy, thank you. Carol, thank you for those. I'm actually, you know, you can see I'm not looking real settled yet. I'm gonna put our address. We have a new shipping address for out here in Quartzsite. The shipping company I use, the flies today. As soon as you leave the door open for 5, see, I can see like 3 of them in here. So I have a new shipping address. The company I use, they moved, so I'll be putting the shipping address down in the video description. Let me take care of Lefty and these flies that just got in here. So look down below in the video description for the shipping address. I'll throw it on the screen right here also. For those of you that want to send us things, food stuff, always a great gift, because we're going to eat it and it disappears. You know, we don't have a ton of room to carry things. So if there's something you'd like to send us that's a hard item, shoot me an email and let's make sure that it's something that I can carry, that I can fit in a cabinet, you know. But like I said, food items or snack items for Lefty, anytime. We'll take that any day. And thank you, Carol and Cindy, that have already sent us some things. Thank you so much. It really made my day to get the Mountain House and to get the snacks for that guy. That's probably what he wants right now. So thanks everyone for being with us here today. Everybody take care, be safe. We'll see y'all again really soon. Excuse me? What in Banana Land is going on out here, brother? Huh? I'm sorry, I didn't catch that. Huh? What are you doing? Buckwheat, huh? Good Lord. What is it, 9:30 in the morning and you're already into whiskey? Huh? You got whiskey brain this morning? Don't try to look all... Oh, jeez. I felt that one over here. Don't try to look like you're all businesslike now once I start talking about you. Are you quite comfy? You just had warm kibble, chicken, hip and joint supplements. Loving it. And I've got a pound of ground beef that I'm going to fry up. And that's going to be exciting, I know. That's going to be intermingled into your breakfast. So chicken one day, ground beef the next day. How's that sound?